I have to request permission to record. Lou, can you hit record for me?
It's already recording.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for getting on the call. I know a couple of days before Christmas, so I appreciate that. But I don't think you're going to be sorry. We have the pleasure tonight, 22nd of December, of having Kim Carver on the phone with us, who is the Director of Sales for Beachbody in the Eastern region. He's way out there in Utah. And so I asked him to share with the leaders on our team a little bit of information about Elite. There's so much discussion about Elite. I think so many of you guys are striving for that this year. And quite frankly, some of it can be a bit confusing. Now, just recently, Kim created a really helpful webinar document that I shared with all of you. And I think if you watch that a few times, you're going to have a really nice understanding. And going forward, once a month, you'll be speaking with your Diamond upline about how you are, if you're on track for where you need to be for Elite next year. So I don't necessarily want Kim to have to go through all of that again, since we have the luxury of that document. But I thought this would be a great opportunity to do a quick overview of what it is you've already seen and ask him any questions and just kind of go from there. Kim, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know this is above and beyond, so I hope you know how much we appreciate your time.
No, it's fine, Shane. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do enjoy working with our coaches, and I really, it is something that it's not a burden at all to me. I'm actually glad to do it. I appreciate you accommodating me, being able to just call in here instead of being on front of my computer. But I'm glad to be able to chat with you and to talk with all of you guys about the league. Obviously, that is something that's been on everyone's mind a lot lately as we're closing out the year, and there's new announcements for Elite next year. We're in place. And like Shane said, I know this is the week of Christmas. There's a lot of holidays going on, and by all means, I sure hope all of you are planning on it and are spending some meaningful time with your family and significant others, because that definitely is something that's more important than a lot of business related things. But I will say that one of the things that you can count on is that really a good solid start to 2015 is started in 2014, and we just have a few weeks left here before we're right into the thick of 2015. And so the extent that we can prepare ourselves and get ourselves moving for 2015 early, the more time and the better off we're going to be able to really kind of take advantage of things in 2015. And I know all of you know that, but I think it just bears repeating when we talk about Elite, because it really is. This is a time of year when you can spend the time in just kind of understanding what Elite is, kind of setting a simple game plan in place. It's not going to take you a lot of time to do this. This is something you can do at night before the kid, after the kids are in bed, or when you've got to spare 20, 30 minutes. It's not necessarily the most, time-consuming process, but if you will take the time to plan it now, then you'll be a lot better off come next year. If anything, just because your focus will be in line, so that when you kind of come back to things after the holidays, you'll know exactly where to start. One thing I did want to mention quickly about Elite right here. I know I've got some coaches on the call that are going to be shooting for Elite. In fact, I hope all of you are shooting for Elite. I know that sometimes people can be a little bit intimidated by Elite. Sometimes they've even talked to coaches who sometimes feel like, well, maybe Elite's not for me. Elite's for some other coach, right? It's not necessarily just for me. And there's maybe some confidence issues there. I want to take just a second to maybe challenge that thinking if someone on this call has that thinking right now. Anytime you do something for the first time, anytime you do something new, it's going to feel intimidating and it's going to feel challenging. And you've got a choice. You can let that intimidation and that challenge kind of scare you off, or you can tackle it and you can throw yourself into it and you can go after it. And I think you'll find, especially with the Elite guys, that it really is not that intimidating. Okay. Is it work? It's absolutely work. I mean, it's not something it's called Elite for a reason, right? We don't call it mediocre, right? We call it Elite for a reason, right? But let me tell you, one of the biggest secrets to Elite that if you haven't realized it, that you need to. Elite rewards focused, purposeful, consistent effort throughout the year. Not half of the year, not a week or two here and then a week or two there, but putting together a simple game plan and then being consistent. Whether if you can give 2 hours a week to your Beachbody business, it's consistent, focused effort in that 2 hours. If you can give 5 hours, it's 5 hours consistent effort. Whatever it happens to be, that it's consistent and focused effort. And that's why the planning of this is really so important. All right. So that's the reason why you've got the goal guide, and part of the reason why I took the time to just record that quick webinar training, that kind of quick and dirty training, is I wanted to kind of peel back that veneer that sometimes scare people with Elite. All right. I mean, I want you to think about it. If you have 2 to 3 Percy sponsored coaches a month, on average, hit Success Club, okay, and you do it yourself, by the end of the year, you've maxed out those points. Just 2 to 3 coaches, okay? That's something that you can all do, right? If you've got a handful of Percy sponsored coaches in 2015 every month that are producing TV for you, you're going to be able to max that out, right? And all of those things will drive growth in those other categories for Elite. And so really the idea that if I were to say, what's the game plan? The game plan is first and foremost to make sure I've got three or four coaches on my list on average who are going to hit Success Club every single month, right? With 2 being my minimum, and obviously maximum, there's not really a maximum here, but 2 being my minimum, 3 to 4 being my ideal. And then making sure that all my new coaches in 2015 are engaged in trainings and things to help them be successful in launching their business, right? Which will generate PV. That's Elite. And if you focus on that every single month, if you look at those numbers, and so I'm looking at those two pieces, you'll find yourself in June going, holy crap, I've actually got a shot to make this happen. I can do this, right? And I think that if you'll just take that, instead of trying to eat the elephant all at once and make a decision, right now that, I can't make Elite. Well, let's flip that on our head. Let's decide that you are going to make Elite, and then throw yourself into the fray and go after it. And I think you'll be surprised with the results. The reality is, again, the choice is simple. You can throw yourself into it and push yourself and see what happens with it, or you don't, right? And what I would propose to you is that if you don't throw yourself into it, you kind of know what the results will be, right? You probably won't have as much drive. You won't have as much focus. Your business won't be as strong. If you throw yourself into it, even if you don't hit Elite, you are going to end next year in a stronger, better place than you did this year. So go for it. Why not? Why not? Okay. So that's my spiel on Elite. I try to keep it pretty simple, Shane, because like I said, the training webinar is there, and I don't want to repeat that for those that have had the misfortune of hearing my voice 100 times. So I do want to open up any questions if people have questions they want to ask about. I want to make sure we address those.
Guys, do you have any questions on the webinar that you saw, the documents, something that was unclear that you want to chat about quickly?
Oh, I just wanted to say, Kim, it's Tamara, and I had the pleasure of meeting with you with Shane and Greg when you were here in Connecticut. And hi, how are you? I loved your video. I thought it was I've been getting those Elite points, and Shane and I've kind of been learning together to read them. And it was such a good, so good. I'm so glad you got in front of the camera, and it's something that I think this team will all really benefit from, and so many other coaches are going to benefit from, to share with other people. When our new diamonds are getting those, we can say, here, watch Kim for 8 minutes. He'll explain what it means, and we'll go over it every month.
Well, good. I'm glad. And it's nice to hear your voice again.
Yeah, good to hear you too. Have a happy holiday.
You too. Well, guys, and that's the purpose of the goal guide, right? The goal guide isn't all it is to help you kind of break down in your mind what it takes to get that Elite title, right? And it just says, okay, here's my focus. Here's the things that I need to look at. And you really start to break it down. And you see, wow, if I'm consistent in my results throughout the year, Elite is very attainable for me. But it's something where you can't, it'll be harder if you don't start thinking about till June. So let's start thinking about it in January and make sure that we're aligned ourselves that way. So great feedback.
Yeah, I think what's so interesting for me, Kim, is, if you just do, your daily disciplines every day and work strategically and hard, the points just kind of happen. And that's kind of how we've been operating, a little blind. And we just, wow, these points keep adding up and it works out. And so it's to have it and now a guide to say, yeah, you could just work hard really every day and do well, but now you actually can target those areas and make it more clean and more focus centered.
Yeah.
So it's such an amazing opportunity that it's not even January yet, guys, and we are looking at something saying, listen, we have to find our key players, and then we have to make sure that those individuals are hitting their goals. And truly, it is possible for every single person on this team. There's absolutely no reason we're not all running for it. And so that's why I wanted to get you everything now, so that before it actually, the clock starts ticking, you're already planting the seeds, you're already, following up, you're already coming up with a plan, so that when January 1 comes, we are all ahead of the game. So I definitely want you to just take the next week or two after the holidays, right before the rush, to digest it all and embrace it and hang it on your wall and identify those people that are really going to help you attain that goal.
Yeah. And guys, the elite program, it really is and part of the power behind it is that as you focus on those activities that give you those elite points, as you kind of, there's a phrase I use with Shane from time to time when we're working with each other. I say we need to learn to win on purpose, right? You can be successful in a business just kind of blindly going out and talking to people, and that's great, right? You never want to discount that, because at the end of the day, it's a people business. And if you're opening your mouth and if you're talking to people and you're trying to help them and you're sincere, you're going to be successful. But there's another step in your ability to lead people. And that comes in when you start being able to win on purpose, when you can start saying, okay, I'm going to structure myself, even if it's just a little bit more than I did before, right? And I start to put some pieces in place, because when you start to win on purpose, when you're doing those things, that now is something you can teach to somebody else. It's hard to teach somebody else how to just be busy and have stuff happen, right? When you can teach them how to plan and how to attack things and how to think strategically, we don't want to take the fun and the people element out of it by any stretch. But just taking a little bit, for example, saying, look, I want to try to drive these elite points. These are just activities that will help you build stable, long-term business for yourself. And boy, I got to tell you, some of you that I know are on this call that have been at Summit, I just want you to think how cool it will be to have that moment, right? In addition to all the benefits, but I'm telling you, when you're walking across that stage in front of 20,000 people and they're applauding and they're cheering your name, that's a pretty cool thing. And not to mention the bonus and all the other things that come with elite. But, I got to tell you, I've been around this industry 15 years plus going on, and I have never seen or been a part of something like what we're going to be a part of this year. And the next year is only going to be bigger. And so, man, I think it's worth it to you to go after it, right? To focus on those SC points. Look, I'm going to have 2 to 3 of my coaches on average every month at least, from 2014 and 2015, who hit Success Club. And then I'm going to make sure I'm in Success Club. That is kind of my non-negotiable elite thing. From there, the next thing I look at is all of those coaches that have enrolled in 2015, how's their PV? How are their sales doing? Are they effectively running challenge groups, right? And those are the 2 things I worry about. Guys, the other point, the ATV measurement, you're not even here. I'm not going to talk to Shane about that until July, right? We just focus on those first 2 things right there, maxing out those points the best we can, consistently focused in that area. And like I said, even if you come a little bit short, your business will be 10 times stronger this time next year than it even was this year. And that's a great place to be.
Agreed. Awesome.
Okay.
So guys, anything else you want to chat about? Karen, go ahead. Let me unmute you. There you go.
Okay. Hi. This may seem like a simple question. I'm not sure. When you're talking about the SE points for getting the elite point from your personally sponsored coaches, do they have to be Emerald or higher in order to get the point from them? Maybe you have somebody who's building Emerald.
Yeah, no, they just have to be personally sponsored coaches for 2014 or 2015 who hit Success Club, who are Success Club 5 or higher, right, in that month. There's
Thank
no
you.
rank requirement on that. No
All
problem.
right, thank you.
And they could be in
Good
either
question.
business center. So if you open your second, a couple of you guys, Tammy, Kelly, you'll be opening your second business center sooner than you know. And if you sponsor coaches under there, they also count.
Yep. Absolutely.
Good. Anybody else before we let Kim get to his night? Kelly, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to thank you again so much, Kim, for first of all meeting me in Philly, but also like your video, like I literally watched it 3 times. No shame here. I listened 3 times to try and figure it out. And
So you're really tired of hearing my voice today.
And I actually, what's that? What's that?
I said, so you're really tired of hearing my voice today.
Not at all. Never. But it was very eye-opening because I actually, like, when I listened, I was like, wow, like, Tammy actually posted something on her wall recently about how, like, 2013 was, like, you know, a taste of it. 2014 was, like, fun. I don't remember your exact words, Tammy, but I was like, wow. And 2015's been freaking rock, like, is what my mindset was of her post. And it was, like, eye-opening because it's, like, if I had known this stuff, like, back then, like,
Yeah.
because all I wanted was just to help people. That's always been my goal, was to help people, right? And like now I'm like, I just need runners. I need runners for 2015, right? Like, because
Yep.
I have a lot of people doing a little bit, but I need runners. So it was very, very helpful. The video was awesome.
Well, and
Thank you.
the good news is on that is the Elite will help give you the structure for those runners. You know, one of the things, again, I talked to Shane about is this concept of controlling the controllable, right? And one of the best ways to attract and to get runners and to build runners is to make sure you're running. And that's something that you can control. This gives you a game plan of controllable actions that you can go after and to target what you're trying to do. And you'll find that the more you do that, then not only will your own coaches run faster, they'll run better, you'll attract more runners to your business as well. And who doesn't want more of that, right?
That's so true. We attract who we are. And I think when our team sees us engaging and active and positive and running, they want that. And so that's kind of the environment we are all trying to shoot for. And I think we could always do better in that area. And I think, guys, as I always say, you know, check with your downlines. Your downlines this. Where are they? Pull them in. Rally them, get them excited, because this is about them too. We're successful when they're successful. So rally them the last week in the month, really get them excited. There's no reason part of your downlines aren't going to be shooting for Premier and Elite too. We have some people so close to Diamond, they'll be hitting it in January and February. So it's, you know, in a month or two, we're going to have about hopefully 5 or 6 more even in this leader page. So, yeah, anybody else
Absolutely.
before we let Kim go? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Okay. Guys, don't hang up after we let Kim go, because there was just one other thing I wanted to address with everyone that was that's been flying around about the Facebook world. So, Kim, thank you again.
Hey, Shane, can I take 2 more minutes real quick with you? I just had a thought that I'm part of the reason I'm not on Zoom right now is I'm up at my grandfather's house. He passed away last month, and I'm up here helping my dad start to put, you know, pieces of, you know, kind of clean up his house and other things like that. And I've got to tell you, it's just something that's been on my mind again as I've been up here going through boxes and kind of moving things around. I remember when he passed last month, and one of the salient thoughts that I had in my mind, and I guess maybe it's to be expected, was you just start to really appreciate the grace that we live our life by. And you start to really value and appreciate that time goes, that time passes. And you start to think about what matters to you the most. And I had one of the things I think that has always been a driver to me is I want to make sure that when I'm kind of at the twilight of my life, I want to be able to look back and know that I got everything out of it I could, that I pushed myself, that I tested myself, that I didn't accept mediocrity even when people were saying that it was okay if I did, that I found out what my limits were, or if I had limits. And And I think that honestly, that type of an approach, that type of a mindset, it doesn't, we can't just pick and choose when we want to do that. It really is something that it's reflected in everything that we do. And so when we talk about elite, guys, I know that sometimes it can be a little intimidating. Leader Premier, right? I know these programs can seem a little bit intimidating, but they're intimidating because they push us. And I want to tell you that a life that's full with things that push us is a good thing, because it helps us see where those limits are. It helps us see what we can do. It helps us take us into uncharted waters that we're not comfortable with, but dang it, that's where the progress is. That's where the growth is. And so why not? Why not? Why not you? Why not you with elite? And I just, anyway, sorry, Shane, that was just on my mind. And I just want to kind of leave that thought with you as you're kind of wrapping up here a little bit. So I appreciate the time, Shane. I appreciate the chance to be able to be on here, you guys. And I look forward to seeing you all again here at Super Saturday.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds groovy. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Do you
Shane, do you want me to keep recording?
No, why don't you shut it off?